So since the breakup, I can guarantee you've been asking yourself time and time again, will they return? Do they still love me? Do they still care? Is there anything on the table for reconciliation? We tend to spiral in the future possibility of what could come, but also live in the past of everything that we had. We get confused of what's in front of us right now and what the actual signs we should be looking for are. And I'm hoping in this video I can clear up at least some of your confusion and maybe give you some clarity. I do just want to add a disclaimer: avoidants always display paradoxical behaviours. No matter what they do, no matter what they say, sometimes what they feel is the complete opposite of what they're displaying. They can say they're over the relationship, they can say they're moving on, they can even have other people around them, maybe even a new relationship. Doesn't mean they don't love you anymore. Sometimes avoidants stay away simply for ego. They don't want to feel rejection because coming back to you comes with a risk of them not having you again. But also, them leaving and coming back shows a sign of weakness, and some people don't want to admit that they have that. It is much less common for avoidants to display that sort of behaviour, but someone that has high levels of pride and ego may do so. Now, without yapping too much or taking too much of your time, let's just get straight into it. Now, this is one of the biggest signs that I tend to use, especially when speaking to my clients. When your avoidant ex left you, the weeks or months after that happened, have they reached out at all? Now, I don't necessarily mean by direct message or phone calls or emails or even discussions. It can be through methods of indirect contact. Things like viewing your stories on social media or sending you a friend request, maybe sending you a letter through the door, speaking to a mutual friend or family member to pass on information to you. All of those things are indirect methods of communicating with you, to stay in contact, to see what you're up to see how you feel. Now, if an avoidant hasn't reached out, they haven't said anything, they haven't sent you an email, they haven't spoke to someone about you, that shows that they could be moving on. Now, that's not a guarantee, because some people do tend to stay to their independence. They don't share anything, they're quite private. So there is that possibility. But for the most part, someone that hasn't reached out, someone that hasn't even made a fake account online to view your stories, to send you a friend request, which you know is them, that usually points to them sticking to their decision. Now, if they have reached out, or they have been viewing your stuff, or been speaking to people that you know to pass things on, it means they're confused and conflicted with the decision of leaving you. They're still unsure of how they feel, whether they made the right choice. Now, this next one is quite possibly, again, another big sign as to whether they will return or not. Now, in the weeks or months leading up to the breakup, before actually leaving you, did they begin to associate their negative avoidant tendencies with you in particular? In other words, the way that they felt inside, that overwhelming fear and anxiety, those doubts that they had around the relationship and you, did they associate those feelings with you in particular, the way that you treat them, the way that you are? The only reason I say this is because if they associate their avoidant tendencies with you, they think you triggered them, you're the one that causes this feeling, then some avoidants choose to stay away because they don't want to have that vulnerability, they don't want to have that risk by coming to you and you making them feel that way. Especially for a dismissive avoidant or a fearful avoidant that doesn't necessarily understand avoidant attachment or the fact that they even have it. Whereas, of course, for someone that is an aware avoidant, they understand that that feeling is internal and it's from trauma or past wounds. Now, even if they did associate you with that feeling, it could just be the early signs of them discovering that they actually have avoidant attachment. It doesn't necessarily mean that they'll never come back. There's no chance at all. But often the case, if an avoidant continues to run from themselves, from the feeling, from the relationships they're in, it usually means that they think it's the person and not them. Now, on the other hand, if they never directly accused you of causing this feeling, it shows a sign of self-awareness. It shows that they have the ability for accountability, for pattern recognition, for perhaps even a want to heal. An openness to understanding why they feel the way they feel, why it happens, what triggers it. That's a massive step for an avoidant. In fact, it's more than 50% of the way to healing, because understanding why and how helps you find out how to stop it. Now, the one thing I want you to understand about avoidance is the way they feel and the way that they behave and react to the way that they feel isn't necessarily because they're a bad person, because they're narcissistic, because they're users, manipulators. It stems from a coping mechanism that they developed through their younger years, from a lack of love, from a lack of care, from a lack of communication, from people they should trust, from people that should naturally take care of them, like parents, like family members. So they learned that their independence was where their safety is. They're safer with themselves than they are being vulnerable with someone. So of course, when they get into a relationship, when they fall in love for the first time, when they feel these feelings that are everything they want, everything they've ever wanted, they naturally don't know how to sit in it for very long. They can sit there for 6 to 12 months, but then once that really becomes real to them, that's when the fear comes in. Because the fear is mainly around commitment, around vulnerability, around someone truly knowing them and understanding who they are. That scares an avoidant. That's why they run. Not because you or because you did anything wrong, but because they're scared. So the next time you think, they're a bad person, they've treated me wrong, I hate them, try to understand their position as well. I'm not saying that they've treated you right, that perhaps your situation isn't bad, because I know that every avoidance situation can vary widely. Some people are manipulators, some people are users and narcissists, but only you will know whether that's relevant to your situation. And I hope for your sake that it's not. I really do hope this was helpful to you in some way. If it was, please, please, please leave a comment if you have anything you want to ask me. I do have a one-to-one call service in my profile. If you want to click on it, we can actually discuss your situation one-to-one. It is there if you want it. I'm not going to push it. Obviously, that's up to you. But I really, really do hope that your situation works out in the way that you want it to. If not, I hope you heal. I hope you become healthy and happy in your life again. Just look after yourself.